What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? David here, and welcome back to another video. I'm excited to be here today because I want to go over 2024 for Atlus. 2024 for Atlus can't be topped, in my opinion, and I'll be straight up. I played everything that Atlus dropped this year except the episode Aigis, the DLC for Persona 3 Reload. I did play that, but not to completion. Otherwise, I completed everything that they dropped. So yes, done with Metaphor as of the time of recording this video, or at least as of the time of you watching the video. And what a year. What a year. No spoilers for any of the games that I'm going to talk about, but I want to gush about 2024, and I want to go over everything that Atlus did this year. So it's a year in review for Atlus 2024. Let's get into it. The year started off so strong with Persona 3 Reload, the most requested Atlus remake of all time. It's finally here. It's out. It's good. It critically did very well. Now that we have the DLC, which we'll talk about later in the video, it's also the definitive version of Persona 3. I know, I can already hear y'all. No female main character, but for the most part, it is still the most, maybe not the definitive version because of the portable content that is missing, but the most complete version of Persona 3 and the version of the game that is the easier to recommend in modern age. The gameplay aged like fine wine. I mean, Persona 3 Reload, when you have party control as an option, it works well. You please older fans, you please newer fans. The game looks well. The game looks really good. Visually, it sounds awesome. The story is still very good. I have to be honest, some of the scenes didn't hit as much as the originals, especially like the Orpheus or awakening for the protagonist early on. I remember playing the game for like 5 to 6 hours on the first night that it dropped. I was home alone that day, and of course I took advantage of that. So, well, by playing Persona. And yeah, I mean, it was really cool, and I got to that scene and I was like, oh, okay. So there's certain things that I don't like as much, or even the Iwatodai dorm. I mean, the way that it looks and everything, the lighting. Otherwise, I mean, the game is really good, and I said it in my video review. I was like, hey, y'all, I do not think I'm going to go back to any other versions of Persona 3. I don't care about the missing content in Portable enough to go back to Portable, and I am a big fan of party control, the ability to control all your party. I hated the fatigue system in FES. I have no reason to go back to FES. So for me, it's all about Reload nowadays, which means that Persona 3 succeeded to be a very good remake. At the end of the day, I was someone who was a believer up until the launch that, hey, Persona 3 does not need a remake. After playing Reload, I still think it didn't need it, but it's cool to have, and I certainly had a blast with it, and I'm going to go back to it at some point for sure. I even found myself wanting to go back to episode Aigis and maybe finishing it by the end of the year. So we'll see if I have time to do that, but it's certainly something that I would like to do at some point. Now, as soon as I was done with Persona 3 Reload, the year was still going strong for Atlus because Atlus and Vanillaware dropped a fantastic game in March. Early March, Unicorn Overlord dropped. Brand new IP by Vanillaware. Y'all know me, whenever Vanillaware drops something, I'm there day one. So 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim was fantastic in 2020. Game of the year alongside Like a Dragon for me, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Great game for sure, I mean, but they did older stuff that is also very good. I played Grim Grimoire, the remastered version of the game last year. Loved that so much. Very good game. Very interesting RTS thing. It's a very special game. I reviewed it. Check it out if you want to. But Vanillaware, I am a fan. Unicorn Overlord, the story didn't hit as much as I wanted it to. Like, it's no 13 Sentinels in terms of story, but in terms of gameplay, it's peak Vanillaware. It's their best playing game. In terms of gameplay, my favorite game by far. All the classes, the fact that you can rank up your class, evolve your class at some point. Visually, the unit looks different. The way that you control your units on field and everything. Yeah, I want to stress that out. The gameplay for Unicorn Overlord, absolute treat. I loved it so much. Speaking of a treat, I was a huge fan of Shin Megami Tensei 5 when it dropped in November of 2021. I had the opportunity to review it early, and man, I couldn't wait to talk about it on the channel. I spent 80 hours before the game even dropped on it, and good times. Those were good times, and I couldn't wait to talk to you guys about it. It was awesome. Well, in June, Atlus dropped an even better version of SMT V, now at 60 frames on all platforms. You have new party members with You have the Quaditsu that is now a thing, and you have a lot of new music in the game. Ryota Kazuka delivered once again. The game is absolutely amazing. I loved everything about SMT5 Vengeance. SMT5 was S tier to me. SMT5 Vengeance is S tier plus plus. It's one of the best games that Atlus has ever made, in my opinion. It is absolutely amazing. I said it when SMT5 dropped. The combat is perfect. The music is top tier. I have complaints like with every game every now and then, but the quests that they added in Vengeance are also very cool. The fact that the DLC from the original is included, it's a treat. I can't recommend SMT5 Vengeance enough. It is such a good game. Absolute treat in June. I also played that day one when it dropped, and I'm really looking forward to what Team Maniacs does with SMT in the future. What are they going to do next? It's always surprising with SMT. You don't really know what to expect, unlike with Persona, but you know what to expect, right? In terms of structure, and nowadays, especially with the calendar system, the social links and everything. SMT, they surprise us generally, and I'm really looking forward to what's next for that team, because Vengeance was a treat for sure. September, episode Aigis dropped. Kind of flew under the radar a little bit. Reload dropped in February, so it had been 7 months at the time when episode Aigis dropped, so it didn't make as much noise as I think Atlus thought it would make. That being said, it gave us an even more complete version of Persona 3 Reload. Still a little salty about the fact that it's paid DLC. In my opinion, it should have been included with the main game, especially at $60 when it dropped early this year. As a third re-release of Persona 3, I have a strong opinion about that. You have the right to yours. In my opinion, there's no good reason why you should charge your fans again for old content that you brought back. It should have been there day one, and that's unforgivable. At least it is here. At least it's a thing, and it's good. I mean, it's more fun to play The Answer in Reload than the original. Once again, in my opinion, the music slaps. The new tracks are awesome. Metis still looks really cool, and yeah, I mean, it's a little thing that pleased the little fan base that it has. I think I was right early in the year before episode Aigis and The Answer was announced, saying that, hey, people won't care when The Answer drops. I think I was right. Most people didn't care, but at least it's an option. And if you were a fan of The Answer, it's a thing. So even I, as I said early on, I think I'm going to go back and finish The Answer on Reload because I found it enjoyable enough. So I'm really looking forward to going back to that. And I want to stress that out. At least we have it. It's better than not having it. The way that they delivered it, I'm not a fan, but at least we have it, and at least it's an option. And of course, it needs to be addressed. October, Metaphor, ReFantazio, Project ReFantasy released. We played it. Mind-blowing, right? If you've been waiting like me ever since the original reveal in 2015 for Project ReFantasy, Studio Zero's brand new IP, first new IP at Atlus in almost 15 years. Absolutely crazy. Catherine was a blast. I remember playing that very early when I was way younger on PlayStation 3. Loved it. Loved Full Body when it dropped on PlayStation 4. Replayed it on Nintendo Switch. And I love these games so much. Metaphor, I didn't know what to expect before they re-revealed it in June last year. I was like, what's Project ReFantasy going to be? A medieval fantasy RPG outside of the Megami Tensei universe. It's not Megaton, it's different, it's all unique and different. My god, the race for the throne, the royal tournament, the cast of characters, the main party in Metaphor they're all very great. The interactions between the characters, the gauntlet runner, the bonding systems, the structure is very much Persona. I personally think Metaphor is it's different enough, the Persona, to be its own thing. That's a controversial topic, though. In terms of structure and how the game's being played, it's very much Persona. You go through one section of the game, you have a deadline, you have free time, you spend one day to another, you can spend your time doing side activities, quests, bounty hunter missions, which I thought were really cool. The missions that you can get in the little mercenary castles in towns. Love that. I thought that was really cool. The Colosseum was really cool in Metaphor as well. Everything that, again, no spoilers, don't worry. Everything that happens near the end, great. The climax in Metaphor really hit with me. Like, when that happened, I was like, they did that. Oh. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to think. When it happened, I saved, put the controller down, took the time to digest it, and I was like, what's going on? And then if you played it, stuff happens afterwards, but man, is that game good. That game is my game of the year. Metaphor is my game of the year easily, and that is crazy to say because Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance is so close to being perfect in my opinion, but Metaphor and how much it hit, how much it delivered, regardless of almost 10 years of expectations from me, banger game. There's a few things that I could complain about. I think they reused a lot of assets, especially with the quest, the side content, like some of the bosses and the towers, they all look the same. Even the super bosses near the end of the game, the dragons, once again, no spoilers, they all look the same. It's kind of boring a little bit, but otherwise, I mean, visually speaking, the game is gorgeous and it sounds good. Even the soundtrack, I think this Metaphor soundtrack is not as good as SMT V Vengeance soundtrack. I keep saying it. Ryota Kozuka is the new GOAT at Atlus. And the Metaphor soundtrack is good. Meguro did a good job. Kozuka is on fire. With SMT V Vengeance, it doesn't get better than that. It doesn't get better than that. That's it. It doesn't. It's objective thing here. I'm just kidding. But yeah, Metaphor, man, it's great. The combat is fantastic. The archetype system, the job system, ooh, the fact that you can evolve your archetype to a super archetype at some point, the customization option with inheritance from your other classes. You can break the game with that if you want. The infamous merchant, I've seen people do very funny stuff with that. Very, very, very cool. And this game really delivered. And if there's DLC for Metaphor, I'll be there day one. And I don't buy DLC, y'all. I can count on the fingers of one hand how many DLCs I bought day one in my life. I don't support content coming out after a game drop for the most part, except if it's something very special. I think the last time that I did that was probably, again, I talked about episode Aigis and stuff. Those are review copies that I get, so it doesn't really count. But that I purchased with my own money, I think it would be like in Lost Judgment by Sega and RGG Studio with the Kaito files, because that game was good enough. I wanted to support them, and from what I could see of the Kaito files, it seemed lengthy and worth my time and investment. But I don't buy DLC generally, and for Metaphor, it's good enough. I will support it, and I will buy DLC for it if it happens. So Atlus 2024, I can't think of a better year. When P5 dropped, although Persona 5 is still the best game out of everything that they dropped this year, in my personal opinion, with Vengeance and Metaphor right there in S tier alongside Persona 5, they didn't have this year. In 2017, it wasn't that at all for Atlus. 2019, nothing either. And the PlayStation 2 days, you had amazing years for Atlus. Even the 3DS days, you had amazing years. But this year, Reload, Unicorn Overlord, Vengeance, Episode Aigis, and Metaphor, crazy. Atlus is big nowadays. All of that, global releases, all of them, multi-platform as much as they could. Crazy stuff. So 2024 for Atlus can't be topped. That's how I'm going to conclude this video. Thank you all so much for watching. What did you think of 2024 for Atlus? Do you agree that it's their best year ever? Otherwise, give me a year, y'all. I want to see what year you can compare to this one, because in my opinion, it's peak and it's their best year ever, and I don't know if it can be topped. My bet is no. You have a good day, y'all. Thank you for watching. Bye.